Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. And yourself?
Good, good.
Good. Thank you for being on time. Actually, 2 minutes early.
Yes, yes.
That's amazing. I respect people that are on time. What were your thoughts from our last conversation? Let's start there. And what are you hoping to accomplish on this conversation?
Sure. So it was actually great to just talk with someone who's been in the business for as long as you have. I have I have some experience in the business. I worked on a new construction project back last summer. I was basically supervising the property for the architect, but I've never really dug into my business with someone who's been in the business as long as you have. So that was a great conversation to have for me. Moving forward, I hope to possibly work together on any or all things that you might have. We're actively trying to grow, as you know. And those next steps are partnering with bigger construction companies, design companies, anyone in this space that really needs our services.
Okay. And well, you're sending me a lot of different directions, but let's try to stay focused.
Sure.
So how do you see that relationship working between you and I?
Well, it depends on. Right now, I'm still a little unclear on what you do primarily
That's
right
fair.
now. But if you were to work on stuff that needs my services, I'd love to discuss how we could work together on any new projects. So you right now, currently, what is your main occupation, I might ask?
Okay. Well, aside from owning shares in 19 different construction companies, my main business is consulting. I help companies become more profitable. I shouldn't say I have 15 employees.
Okay.
We help companies become more profitable. And what that means is we generally start with a forensic analysis of the business to see what the business is doing well and what they could improve upon.
Okay.
That's generally a 3-day process. Either we fly in to do that or we do it remotely. Small companies, we tend to do it remotely because we can find out a lot of things on Zoom calls.
Sure.
And once we find out what they're doing well and what they're doing that could be improved upon, then we make suggestions on the 3rd day. Okay.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So you said you are a part of. You said 19 different construction companies. How involved are you?
Not day to day. I refuse to be involved day to day. I sit on the board. I also sit on the board of a $1 billion tech company that might work for you as well, because this is a cutting edge artificial intelligence, augmented reality type tech company. And one of our ideal clients right now that we're working towards is Remax globally, because if you understand their problems, and this is the benefit of doing a forensic analysis, when you understand that their problem is, and head office didn't really understand their problem, is that the average real estate agent for Remax and everybody else makes less than $30,000 a year, which is pretty pathetic. So our goal is to help the average. Most companies would say, well, let's get your top producers to the next level. But that's only 1 or 2% of the company. We need to structure the system for the average to grow by 10 or 20%. Now you're making massive changes. So we use this technology to create relationships. or to start conversations to create relationships, which is basically the same thing you need to do as well. You need to start conversations with developers, custom home builders, interior designers, architects, anyone that has a design need or has a presentation need. Could be your potential client. But the question is, how do you start a conversation like that? Because if you start a conversation and you sound too salesy and they know what your end goal is, they're going to jump there and say, oh, forget it, Jordan. We already have somebody doing that. And the conversation never started. Right? So you got to start the conversation in a non-threatening way, talking about golf, your dog. I see your dog on your bed. Your dog, anything you're passionate about that you can connect with them. Once you build trust, now you can talk about how you can help them with your services.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. An example of that, actually, an example from yesterday is a company in Africa that does a similar type project than you do. And we've been talking for over a year now. And he doesn't understand the power of trusted circles and getting a third-party endorsement to say, hey, let's say I have a client or a general contractor who is talking to a custom home builder. He's trying to get work from the custom home builder, right? Instead of saying, I'm the best contractor you're going to be able to find in your area, he would be smart to say, hey, I know this guy, Jordan, who does amazing modern designs. Have you thought about using a service like that? Right?
Yeah.
So a third-party endorsement, then he says, well, I'd like to see some of his designs. Now you're coming in as an endorsed service provider. And that could double or triple the size of your business very quickly, as long as you keep using that type of concept.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's basically what we've been doing to date. If it's not custom home builders, it's contractors, it's people who are going through the process, the homeowners who have their floor plans, and most people aren't really, they're not able to really visualize their 2D plans. So then I come in as the third party designer, and then that's where most of my work has been coming from.
Okay, so you take a 2D plan and you turn it into a 3D plan.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long does it take? I saw one of your kitchens on your website.
Yeah.
How long does it take to do that kitchen? A kitchen like that?
Depending on which kitchen you're actually talking about. Right now, since we're actively booking projects, we just finished something this morning before our meeting. It would take, I mean, depending on the complexity of the design, anywhere from a few hours to a few days. It depends. A single rendering project is obviously much smaller and it will take much quicker than a 10, 15, 20, 25 rendering project. But usually our average projects take anywhere from 3 to 5 business days to complete.
3 to 5, okay. And 3 to 5, that's a whole home?
It depends. So an average project, let's say it's 2 exterior views, 5, 6, 7 interior rooms. That's basically an average project for us.
Okay. And
then depending on if we have other projects, obviously the turnaround time is going to take a few more days. But that's where we stand now.
Okay. And the average project, what are you making on an average project? What are you selling the average project for, if you don't mind me asking?
So we started at $200 per rendering. You could think of that as $200 per interior room and $200 per exterior view. Now that was working great until about last month, where we saw that we were getting a lot of people viewing our pricing and then just never reaching back out. So we've recently lowered our pricing to $150 per rendering. So that's where we're at right now, $150 per rendering. you could do the math on whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20 different renderings. And then, like I said, in our last meeting, I keep 100% of that. So.
Okay. All right. And how does that compare with your competition? How much competition do you have?
So when I started the business back last July, I did a lot of research on our competition's pricing, and I found, number one, that my competition is in other countries. 3D renderings design, that's very popular in India. And
Philippines, Africa.
Say that again?
The Philippines, Africa as well.
Definitely. And I saw that they were charging per square feet, and that's kind of where I was like, I want to be different. I want to charge per room instead of square footage. So for us, it doesn't really matter if you have a 50 square foot room or a 2,000 square foot room. We charge 150 per room. Whereas our competition, it's going to be a huge difference in price. So that's where I went with it. The people in our competition who do charge per room, I priced our pricing at the same point, but now that we're at the 150, I'm actually lower than our competition right now.
Okay. I'm not always, well, let's just say in my 40 years experience, I find that trying to attract business or clients based on pricing is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And that can come back and slice you in half. I would suggest we come up with a value-based model as opposed to a pricing model, because ultimately you want to grow and you're going to need to have income for future employees that you don't have yet. So either those employees are going to be where you live. Where do you live again?
Hoboken, New Jersey, right across the river from this New York City.
Okay. So either you hire employees in North America, or you hire them in the Philippines or India or wherever you want to do it. But you have to stay competitive.
Yeah.
And you have to be profitable. Or else there's no point in bringing on the client if you're not going to make money out of it. Or you could bring in the client just for review's sake. That's a good strategy as well when you're looking to start out. So at some point you're going to need to grow. Have you thought about what that looks like for you?
Yeah. This has been a whole year of phase one of my business. You obviously know our end goal. And right now I see more realistic than hiring architects myself as exactly what you said, partnering with architects, partnering with contractors, builders, custom home builders. So I personally don't have to hire them, pay them a salary, all that. It's a much cheaper way for me to expand. And that's where I'm at right now.
Okay. How much money are you making now, and how many hours are you working per week?
That's a tough question because I've had great months, I've had not so great months. This is definitely a not so great month. There have been personal stuff and just business stuff this month that have been a little tough, but we've made $30,000 since the first of this year.
Okay.
That's where we're at right now. Some months have been much better, some months have not been great, but to date we've made around 30 grand.
30 grand. That's not 30 grand per month. That's 30 grand total. Total.
It's about $4,500 a month if we were going to divide it evenly.
Right. Okay. All right. And what are your expenses per month?
My expenses right now are nothing. I don't spend anything on marketing. I already paid off my computers, my softwares, all of that is paid for. I obviously have other payments like rent, car stuff, all that, but business related, I have no expenses.
Okay. But your personal and business are tied in together, right?
Yes, of course. So
So
yeah.
what would be your rent and car payments and, living expenses, food, et cetera? Do you have an idea of that?
Yeah, my part of rent is 1,500. Well, if we're gonna be exact here, $1,400.
Okay.
Um, food is about, give or take, $200-300 a month. We split a car. It's actually not my car; it's my partner's car, so I don't pay anything on that payment.
Okay.
Electric, internet, $30-40 a month, something like that. And then the rest of the money is either spent on the business or um, whatever we like to do on weekends, stuff like that.
Okay. So a rough guess, 2,000 a month?
Sure, and expenses, yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. So 2,000 a month and you're getting around 45,
Yeah.
average. Was it slower in the winter? Have you seen seasonal type changes, or I know 1 year is not enough, but
I definitely saw that our business had spiked starting the 1st of January. So we started last summer. We were doing okay. I wasn't doing really anything that I was able to like move out with. I was still living home. Um, but then once January started, I really saw a spike. And ever since then, up until last month, we've been growing every year
okay.
or every month. So this month is it's a weird month for us. It's a slow month for us, definitely. I don't know if that's because increase in price. People don't want to build as much right now, but pricing has been crazy for the past year or two. So
Okay. What do you think caused that spike?
inflation, especially in wood. Like when I worked on the in-person house, they were telling us that their lumber costs were basically doubled when they actually ordered the wood from when they first had their first or second meeting. So that was a year ago, and I'm pretty sure prices are still fluctuating. Um, but I don't know. I don't know if I haven't been in business long enough to really figure out, is business gonna slow down dramatically once the winter hits? Am I gonna be able to like have reoccurring work? I'm not sure.
Okay, that's a good point. Let's briefly talk about that because that's a conversation that I tend to have a lot of.
Okay.
I believe a well-designed construction business, and you're part of the construction business. I believe a well-designed general contractor, as an example, can make more profit in a down economy than the same contractor can make in an up economy.
Okay.
Okay. The reason for that is everyone is turtling. Everyone's starting to turtle now, which means they cut their marketing budget. They fire excess people. They get rid of excess trucks, so whatever it is. So they prepare for a storm and they get rid of unnecessary expenses, what they feel is unnecessary expenses, right? So, and one of the first things that tends to get cut tends to be marketing and sales, which is bizarre to me.
Yeah.
Right? But if 95 or 99% of your competition is cutting marketing and sales expenses, it leaves the market wide open.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Which means an aggressive general contractor has a huge opportunity now. He should increase his marketing and sales by a little bit and grab huge market share, right?
Yeah.
And that's why a well-designed general contractor can make more money, more profit by doing the opposite of what everybody else is doing. So if you take that lesson, and that's a lesson we've been learning for the past 40 years, and that's what I did when I was running my construction business. So if you look at it that way, if you're heading towards a down economy, you should really make sure that your aggressive marketing system is really, really sharp.
Okay.
Because that's the time you double down and say, okay, here's the time to get market share.
Yeah.
because your competitors, especially the competitors in the Philippines and India, these are not business people,
Yeah.
right? They're going to be turtling. The what they used to spend on marketing before, they're not going to spend, which means their clients are vulnerable to you coming in and saying, hey, you know.
Sure. I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this is why I believe any company doesn't have a conveyor belt to deliver brand new clients to them on a regular basis is not a well-designed company.
Yeah.
So marketing is the most important part of any company. I don't care if you're an architect, you're a general contractor, you're an interior designer, you're a real estate agent.
Sure.
The first thing I want to know is, tell me about your aggressive marketing plans.
Yeah.
Show me how you build trusted relationships, because that is a true sign of whether a company is going to be successful or not. All right. So that's one of the things we focus on. And by the way, we have a hard stop at 12.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I would focus on with you is, yes, of course, we have to look at how efficient you are, but the most important part is how many new clients are you starting conversations with every single day?
Yeah. And it's been crazy for me, a new entrepreneur, new business person. I'm seeing firsthand. I was told this my whole journey getting here from my dad, my other people who tried to give me advice. You'll talk to 100 people and you'll be lucky to get one or two projects, and that's definitely true because I talk to literally probably 100 people every day, and I'm still sitting here looking for my next project. So I'm constantly posting. This is my marketing. I post every single day on about 100 Facebook groups that involve contractors, architects, designers, people building their homes, and that's my marketing. So I post every day. I post new content when I have it, and I offer my services. A lot of the times I get posts that have 10, 15, 20, 25 people saying, send me pricing information. I want to know more information. And it's rare to actually make a client out of them. And I'm aware that I need to do better on that part because these people are interested. They're interested in my services, but I'm not closing as many deals as I should.
Okay.
And I thought that was my pricing. That's why we lowered pricing. I don't know another issue. If I knew, I would solve it and it'd be solved. So I have to work on that definitely.
Well, that's something we can definitely help you with. And I'll give you a quick example. Actually, do you know Martha Stewart's story?
I don't.
Okay. Martha Stewart had a TV show on HGTV, very popular well, HGTV is about, custom homes and beautiful homes and architectural and stuff like that. How she started with her and her partner, she started by baking pies.
Yeah.
And she took a bunch of these pies to a flea market. And I think she started the pies at $1.50 each. People would look at them, walk by, and keep going, right? And she's frustrated. Like, these are beautiful pies.
Yeah.
Had she done sampling, maybe she could have sold all of them, but she didn't think of that, right? So then she's thinking, well, how come all these people, are going by and nobody's buying, right? Maybe it's the price. So she raised it to $2.50. And she might have sold one or two. Once she decided to raise her price to $10, she sold out.
Yeah.
Okay. She sold nothing at $1.50, but she sold out at 10. These are the same freaking pies, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I maybe pick up Martha Stewart's story because, I've got tons of book on pricing. Low prices, first of all, attract the wrong client, and they send the wrong message about the quality of your work.
I definitely agree, and that's a dangerous game that I could play because I was 100% with you on, I wanted to stick to my $200 price point, but I talked with my partner and she kind of convinced me that we should drop to 150 just because I was getting those interested people saying, send me pricing, and they'd see my pricing and I wouldn't get a response. I'd contact them once every week, once every other week, nothing from them. That's why I wanted to drop my pricing, but I do understand that dropping the price will unintentionally give the wrong message, give the message that we're not as good as our competitors.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a journey. When someone asks for your pricing, and by the time they get it, it's a journey. A lot has happened since then. They might have looked at your trust foundation. They might have looked at your profiles. They might have looked at a lot of different things. And it may or may not be the pricing, but there's 20 or 30 different things in there that we have to look at. So it's not just pricing. So I don't want to just focus on that. Your trust foundation is more important. And by the way, how many reviews do you have?
We don't have much, which is what we talked about last time. We need to get as well.
Yeah. And here's a strategy. You might want to pick a custom home builder that you really want to land business and say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, I will do the next design for you for free in exchange for a testimonial.
Yeah.
That testimonial is worth more than 10 times $200.
Yeah.
Okay. Because a testimonial from a recognized custom home builder will launch you into outer space. Okay.
Definitely.
So consider that. A video testimonial would be even better. So before you do anything like that, let's make sure we have the right strategy, because you have one chance to land a client like that. And if you don't do it right, you could blow it forever. So I would suggest that we schedule another call where we have more time, and don't be afraid to schedule one back to back, because when you only schedule one meeting, someone else schedules another meeting, and then we don't have a chance to really talk.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I would like you to think about is goals. Without goals, you're just running around like your head's cut off.
Yeah, okay? I agree, definitely.
Okay, so you need to have a goal. You need to know, okay, I'm doing $4,500 a month now. I want to do $10,000 a month, or $20,000 a month, or $2 million a year, or whatever that is. But you need to have a goal.
Yeah.
Okay, and you have to have a start date and a finish date. Then once we have that, then we can start building a bridge backwards from where you want to be to where you are to now, and then figure out how we're going to get there. Okay. Yeah. But it's basically using business tools, well-designed business tools. And here's another example, using a general contractor. A general contractor generally takes, the average general contractor takes 20 to 40 years to get to $20 million. 20 to 40 years with the right tools that I was just talking about. We call them the 33 tools. He can now do it between 3 and 7 years. Okay. Yeah. So it's not about working hard. It's about working smart.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree.
It's about working smart, and sometimes you work a lot less when you have the right clients. Right? Yeah, going after the right clients. And I'm not sure that, yes, Facebook would be one of 20 things you should be doing, but it's probably number 10, not number 1.
Yeah.
Okay. LinkedIn should be your number 1.
Okay.
How much presence do you have on LinkedIn?
I honestly don't use as much as I should. And I know that. I'll definitely look into it after this call. And yeah, I'll definitely transfer some of my focus.
Well, how many connections do you have on LinkedIn?
85 maybe.
Yeah. See, that's part of your trust foundation. If I was a custom home builder, the first thing I'm going to do is look you up on LinkedIn. You show me that you have 85 connections, I'm going to say, this guy's in. He's Mickey Mouse. Okay. So you got to look objectively. You got to look in the mirror. The same thing that I had to do when I was 17 years old and designed my first business. I looked in the mirror and I said, Leo, who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah.
How dare you think at 17-year-old you're going to get somebody else's market share?
Yeah.
Right. So I forced myself to find the problems before they occurred. And that's why my uncle was my first employee, because he was the face of the company. Right. So you have the same problem. Right.
Yeah.
So, and you got to be honest with yourself. You can't fool yourself.
Definitely.
Okay. So goal, figure out what your goal is. And it doesn't matter whether you know how you're going to get there or not. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. The same thing when I started framing a basement. 50 minutes later, I said, I fucking hate working with my hands.
Yeah.
50 minutes, I threw the hammer down. I didn't have a solution, but because I threw the hammer down, it forced me to find a solution.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got to do the same thing. It doesn't matter whether you believe you can get to, $2 million in the next 12 months or not. Because you have that goal, now you can focus on that goal and figure out, how am I going to do this, right?
Yeah.
And get it done. And the other thing that I want you to do is work on your goal and figure out how you want me to help you.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
next meeting we can discuss more of that.
Okay. Schedule another meeting for tomorrow. If your partner was on the call, even though they're not part of the business, they're still part of your support structure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So think about that.
I can see if I could have her on tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds good. We'll talk to you then.
Awesome. Thanks.
Have a great day. Bye.